We're rolling.
Welcome to the House Dudes podcast, where we invite you to follow us on our journey towards financial freedom using the power of real estate. I'm Jack Haas.
And I'm Josh Koth. Here at House Dudes, we believe in a couple key principles. Number one, the best way to retain information is by teaching it to others. And number two, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're not competitors, we're a community. So let's get into some real estate investing.
So this week we're off and running on the second part of our series associated with how to find that next deal.
Right, and we're concentrating on methods that involve more of your time and less of your funds, your finances, your green, your cabbage, your money. So if you're starting out, which a lot of investors, when they're in the beginning stages, they seem to, a running theme is a lack of capital. So let's take some time to focus on some more strategies where you can use your time to get deals.
So the big one that we're going to kick things off with today is regarding networking and the importance of it. And I think we probably can point back to, I'd almost say a third, if not a half of the deals that we've done have all come from our networking efforts.
Yeah, this one is so crucial, and it almost takes no money, really. This is a perfect example of something that takes your time and not your funds. I mean, some networking groups do require a membership fee. It's usually pretty nominal, though, and but you don't have to join a professional organization, although we do recommend those. And there's things like BNI, Master Networks, and these are basically referral clubs that meet weekly typically, and it's people from different industries and usually groups from 10 to 30 to 50 people. And the idea is that there's one person representing each type of industry, so you're not really competing against direct competitors, and then you trade referrals within the group. So it'll be insurance agents, real estate agents. We're in there as real estate investors, photographers, people that own fitness places. I mean, all walks of life, all types of industries. And the idea is that, relationships take time to build that trust that's required to confidently recommend someone to another business. And if you're in these groups over the long term, that trust will build and people will feel confident referring business to you. So that's kind of the gist of how professional networking groups work. And we're both members of those and have been for many years. I did it when I was in my photography business to great effect, and it's had the same awesome benefits for real estate. You really just can't beat sitting down with the same group of people or the same core group. There is turnover in these groups, but that same core group of individuals over the course of months and years, that trust really does build, and business will start to come your way. One caveat I'll say is if you go into those groups thinking, ooh, I'm joining a referral group, I can't wait to get all the referrals start coming my way. That's going to be awesome, just stack up the referrals. If you go in thinking, what am I going to get? You're probably going to fail, because a month or two in, you're going to say, well, I haven't gotten any referrals. This is BS. I'm leaving. And I've seen that happen many times over. But the people that are successful in networking groups are the ones that go in thinking, how can I help refer business to the individuals in the group? And then through reciprocity, that will come back to you. Again, we'll reference The Go-Giver, that book. Perfect example of this type of strategy. So if you go into it with the right attitude and kind of just let it build over time, you'll be successful using networking groups.
Yeah, and you have to use these networking groups in a couple other things and find some other value there as well. As Josh mentioned, it is a very long-term play. Don't expect an opportunity coming your way within a month or two. These people need to know, like, and trust you, just like any other marketing part of your marketing. So the way you get through that mental hurdle is especially making use of those people around you. I mean, there is a lot of experience and talent in those rooms, and bouncing off ideas off of each other and building on those type of relationships and just the knowledge alone within those rooms is well worth your time and exploration.
And while we can point to several direct deals that have been referrals directly from people in the groups, it's also just great, like you said, for building your business relationships. We've done some of our banking relationships, some cleaners, some contractors. We've used insurance people, have all come from these professional networking groups. And it's always surprises me when I talk to other real estate investors and I bring up BNI Master Networks and say, are you in a referral group or a networking group? And they just look at me kind of like, what's that? And I think, wow, you're really, you're not maximizing the people around you and your ability to, interface with other professionals. So definitely seek that out. Another piece of that too is, besides the weekly referral networking groups, is just to try to sit down with people one-on-one. Now, this can be an offshoot of your networking group, because that's one thing they encourage, is they call them face-to-faces or one-on-ones, where you sit down and have a little more lengthy conversation with a particular individual, and you kind of work your way through the group and meet everyone. And that helps increase that amount of trust and build that relationship between individuals, so that the referrals can kind of fly around even more quickly. But one thing to remember when you're sitting down with someone is, don't go in there with your bullet points. Like, okay, I'm going to tell them what I do and I'm going to convince them why they should send people my way. Go in there asking questions. Remember, he who asks the questions drives the conversation, and try to find out, how can I help this person? Again, it's all about the go-giver and reciprocity. If you sit down, we've all had this happen where you sit down with a one-on-one and it's a sales pitch, right? I mean, I've been on the receiving end of that and it just sucks. You're like, how quickly can I get out of here? You just want to exit the meeting as quickly as possible. And being on the receiving end of that makes you realize that's ineffective as a strategy for convincing anyone to do business with you. So the best way for that to happen is you ask them questions, be interested in what they're doing, and ask how you can help them. And through reciprocity, you'll benefit eventually. And that is kind of counterintuitive. I know when I was starting out, I just figured, like, okay, I got to get my case. I got to make my case here. And really, you want to do the exact opposite.
Yeah. No, and I think in a lot of business classes and courses, we've always been taught to have that audio business card ready and going. And I think people, and there's a purpose to those audio business cards, and you can use those audio business cards as you're going around the room and doing your needs and wants and your introductions. But when you're dealing with and going through a one-on-one scenario, you're absolutely right. It's far better to try to ask as many questions and try to understand their business and their needs first. And you'll be surprised how many times when people leave those meetings, they'll think it's a great meeting. And in the end, all you've really done was ask the proper questions to get them to talk most of the time.
The old saying is, everyone's favorite subject is themselves.
Right.
This is where you have to really take stock of your own personality. And this is a great contrast between you and I, because I yap constantly. And I'm one of those guys who's like listening and waiting for my in, to ram some points in, because I feel like I'm a really good debater. And you're more of a sit back and just kind of take it all in. So when people leave meetings with you, they think, wow, that was great, even though you may have just asked a few questions and they just went off. But I have to, and you almost have to work on being a little more of an extrovert, and I have to really throttle back and, try to control the amount of words I'm saying per minute, versus what they're saying, and really throttle back and ask questions. Remember that. So take stock of your own tendencies and make sure that you're negotiating that in the best way possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great example. Like, in fact, we're going to have to share some warts here, I guess, when it comes to this type of thing, because you're absolutely right. When I do any kind of networking event, it doesn't come easy to me. I have to really work on it and get out there.
Like if you're sitting around a bunch of people standing around at like a, business after hours type thing, or just milling around in a big room.
Yeah, I'll have a tendency to I'll go to the event. That was an effort to go to the event, and then I have to then insert myself or
engage. You have to engage.
I have to engage in some way, and that doesn't come natural to me. So if now everybody knows, if you see me in public at Business and Beer or something, and I'm walking and approaching somebody, that actually takes effort on my part. That doesn't come naturally.
And well, that was one thing I remember in my photography business when my buddy said, "Hey, you should come to this group." It was BNI, which is Business Networkers International, I think. And that's a national franchise. There's groups of those all over the country. So definitely check that one out. That's a good one. I was afraid to go because I hated public speaking. And part of the group is you have to stand up and, give your 1 minute audio business card or your 60-second commercial, they call it. Okay, here's what I do. Here's what I'm looking for. And I was afraid of that, and now it's funny because we do a podcast and we, lead our local real estate meetup. So you just have to force yourself to get over that because you do have to put yourself out there. But also rein it in. If you're a natural extrovert who can talk nonstop, you have to rein that in and be genuinely interested in the others in the group and how you can help them. This is that whole thing of you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most, So when you're seeking these groups out, remember, even though, BNI, Master Networks, these are all national franchises, really it comes down to the makeup of the individuals in the group. So I recommend visiting groups, seeing which ones you like, the vibe of them. If you like the individuals, it does have a good mix of professionals that you can benefit their businesses and, refer people to them and take that perspective on it. You're going to be a lot happier in the end when you pick one to join.
Yeah. And try to find some actually a group that has some people that are far more successful to you or where you want to eventually end up, whether it's in business or in real estate investing. You always want to surround yourself with that type of people. We say time and time again in our introduction, a rising tide lifts all boats. Mm-hmm. Well, you need to have some of those successful people in your group that you can network with and to have that same type of mindset.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's a scarcity versus abundance choice, again, mindset choice. When I've visited networking groups as a real estate investor, sometimes you see the real estate agents get a little nervous because they think, this guy's going to compete in my realm. And I try to say, no, we're going to help each other. Because if you're a successful real estate agent, I'm going to bring you deals. You can list things for us. You can bring us houses that you can't sell. Maybe we can look at them, make a cash offer. There's ways to work together. So I see that as a benefit. I mean, if I could have a group full of real estate agents, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Not competitive at all.
Yeah. And I think, once you break through that mindset, some of those opportunities have been our best.
Yeah, and we're going kind of long on this topic, but I mean, we could do a whole series on just networking alone. So understand the importance and how crucial that is. So if you're not in a networking group or meeting with people on a regular basis, you definitely need to start. And as always, we're going to say, the takeaways, be super consistent about it. Either join a weekly group, and if you're in one of those, set an amount of either groups or people that you're going to meet with one-on-one in addition to that group every week, and then you just schedule those out.
And if you don't,
you won't be sorry.
And if you don't have a networking group in your area or real estate investing group, here's your chance to start one.
Start one, exactly.
So, you know what, Josh? I think we were planning on talking a lot more regarding some other categories, but I suggest we spin that off into the next episode. Thanks for joining us. We've put a lot of effort into providing useful content, and if you found value in the show and have any interest in supporting us with a small donation, head over to patreon.com/housedudes.
And if you have any thoughts or questions, shoot us an email at info@housedudes.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @housedudes. And if you like what you're hearing, head over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It really helps other investors out there find the show.
And remember, massive positive impact requires
massive positive action. We'll see you next time. This episode was brought to you by housedudes.com. Do you have time to actively manage flipping and rentals yourself? If so, go for it. If you live in a market that won't cash flow or don't have the time to do all the work, are you just out of luck? If there was a way to participate more passively, would that appeal to you? I'm sure you have questions about how the process works and what to do next. If that's the case, fill out the form on housedudes.com/investors, and we'll reach out to see if you are a good fit for our business. This is first come, first serve, and we will have to stop taking applications when our goals are met. See you at housedudes.com/investors.
I don't like to tell a man what to do with his money, but if you ain't investing in property, then you're dumber than a dummy.
I'm not dumb. I'm smart.
Well, buy property. That's my advice.